Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your kind donation of time on a busy Sunday afternoon in a busy season. I'm Griff. This is my wife, Betsy. We're the Vintons. Together, you are co-chairs of the capital campaign, which we're calling Courageously Called, to which you are all called to join. You may remember, I do want to also let you know that working alongside us are our co-chairs, Molly and John Johnson. Molly's right here. I don't think John's here today. Chris Bench is right here. And Fred Smith, who also, I think, could not be with us today. And on our leadership team, we also have Rachel Norton, Leah Cohn, and our source of constant inspiration, the senior pastor, Rebecca Seegers. So thanks again. I think you may remember, some of you may have participated over 2 years ago in the process that sort of started this, where in this very room we started focus groups. Betsy and I even led one of those, where we attempted to gather up what we call the universe of what is everything that we might need under the sun, we might want to do, the direction we might want to go. And over the course of the past few years, 2+ years, there really has been a monumental effort to kind of study, debate, prioritize, and decide what makes sense and what is right for Third Church going forward. And what you see today, and you're going to learn about, is the result of that, which is the Courageously Called campaign, which has been approved by session, but throughout this process that we're kicking off with these preview parties, we're seeking the blessing of the congregation as well. So, and we're fortunate that on the team as well, Chris Bench was intimately involved throughout, so we have a source of continuity to help us in that process. So, to give you all a flavor and overview, we have a video that's also a lot of credit really goes to Rachel and Rebecca for the product you're about to see. But why don't we share an overview here in video format, and then we'll come back and talk to you through some of the more specifics. Hi, I'm Griff Vinton.
And I'm Betsy Vinton.
And we've been members of Third for over 23 years.
Easter Sunday was the first time we'd ever come to Third, and we were just both overwhelmed by the music and the spirituality that we felt that entire service. And I still get goosebumps thinking about it, and that's what sealed the deal for us for Third.
My name is Chris Bench, and I've been a member of Third Church since the late 1990s. What's most important to me about Third Church today is the sense of community that I have. I feel like I'm part of a family here. I feel like I know other people, they know me. I feel like we're all committed to a common cause, and that's something that's really rare in life these days. What excites me the most about the Capital Campaign is that it involves every key facet of Third Church. This is a campaign that no other church would probably do. It's a combination of who we're uniquely called to be. We're called to be a church that reaches out in the world. We're a church that's called to care for a historic structure. And we're a church that worships.
I'm Tom Gillette. I've been a member here for 20 to 25 years. I got involved with outreach because it has a number of ministries that are in the community. My greatest interest is in interacting and bringing to life Christian values and lessons that are fundamental to the church. We're addressing Third's commitment to Matthew 25. For the Capital Campaign, what we hope to do is focus on housing and food. A key aspect of the Outreach Capital Campaign proposal is the development of partnerships and alliances. Some of our existing partners identified new initiatives even within their organizations. For example, Family Promise of Greater Rochester has housing units that they intend to be transitional places for people. We're counting on the capital campaign to increase Third's capacity because we already have the will.
My name is Jim Pocatello. I've been a Presbyterian since birth. The first time I set foot in the door was about 40 years ago at Third. I was married here 35 years ago, and Chris and I have been members for 27 years. We've employed Barrow Architects, a local architectural and engineering firm who specialize in rehabilitation of historical buildings, to put together condition studies of the roof, masonry, electrical and mechanical systems, utilities, and accessibility. And so together we have arrived at a common work list. First off would be 5 active and significant water leaks on campus, 3 in the education building, 1 in the chapel, and 1 in the sanctuary narthex where I am now. Also the roof, the slate tile roof over the chapel, needs to be replaced. We need to repair the masonry in the bell tower and the minor tower along East Avenue. The bathrooms on the first floor and the second floor of the parish house, they need to be renovated in order to bring them up to today's accessibility code. We have been in this building now for at least 140 years. And we hope the building will remain for another 140 years. And this is our time to keep the building in good repair.
My name is Fred Smith, and I've been a member of the church for longer than I can remember. I have great confidence in our leader, Rebecca. I'm very impressed with the care and thoughtfulness of the session and the campaign. A lot of fundraising campaigns try to move forward without really doing the homework. I'm really impressed and pleased and willing to be involved because of the confidence I have in the leadership and in the work that's being done by the people who are already involved.
My name is Molly Johnson.
My name is John Johnson.
And we've been coming since 2016. We used to live just a few blocks away, and I would walk by all the time. And when it was time for us to figure out a church home, I said, I know the one. I love that this place has traditional worship. It feels very comfortable to us, feels very much like what we grew up with, yet it's filled with believers who think like us and have the same kind of outlook and mindset.
I grew up in a traditional church, and I've always loved the organ, and I think the first time we came to Third Church, hearing the organ and the choir sing, you could just feel God's presence here.
I'm Betsy Marvin, and I've been involved here at Third Church since the mid-1980s. I first came as a choral scholar when I was a student at Eastman in 1982. And I'm passionate about the power of music. I think music has the power to heal and to restore and to educate and to nurture and to enrich our worship. And that's why I'm so excited about the new organ, designed by the Rieger Organ Company, especially for us. The worship experience is absolutely crucial to congregational vitality, and thus we were looking for ways to enhance what is already a long tradition of wonderful preaching and music in this church. You can't participate fully in worship if you can't fully hear or fully see, or it's too hot to be comfortable, or the sound system or the organ breaks down. Our systems are antiquated, and that there's a lot that they can do to improve both the visibility and the audibility, and also accessibility. And in conjunction with that, we discussed the idea of humidity control and updating the HVAC so that it's cooler in the sanctuary in the summer. Hopefully that when we have visitors coming, they will be comfortable and feel welcome and want to come back because of the experience that they have in our beautiful sanctuary.
This is our inheritance that we've received from prior generations, and we really have to think very hard about how we want to pass it on to future generations. I feel like it's a very balanced campaign, and the session and the team so far has done an excellent job in creating a package that we can all rally around.
For me, it's all about the possibility of what this capital campaign can do. Use of this building and the organ and what new opportunities that's going to have. What other possibilities for outreach that we're going to be able to have in this church. As far as our pledge personally for our family, it was a no-brainer. We knew we were going to give. We also thought because you can stretch it over 5 years, that we could give just a little bit more. Third Church is worth it.
In these uncertain times, Third Church provides us all with courage, inspiration, and community.
We really are all in on this campaign. We're so excited about all we're about to achieve. together.
Wow, that was, sorry. I've seen it before. Okay, so our next step is to give you a little bit, some more details about the scope of the campaign, and we're going to be breaking this into 3 different parties. This is the first one. Shortly we'll be turning the microphone over to Jim Pocadillo, who's going to go over the property section. Our future preview parties will focus on other campaign areas. Outreach on the 28th, and that will be via Zoom, and the worship component on June 1st. And we're recording this presentation, so if you know there are people who aren't here who would like to see it, we're going to be recording it, and you'll be able to watch them all later on YouTube. And I'm sure as we go through this, you will have questions, so we'll want to answer them the best we can, but if you could kindly kind of jot them down and hold them until the end, that would be really appreciated.
So it feels like we're living in a pivotal moment in history right now, doesn't it? I say that very seriously, though I laugh. I think here at Third Church, we're getting ready for our 200th anniversary in 2027. And so we're remembering our history and getting inspired by the important people and events of the past. At the same time, especially with all the changes of the past years, and with this capital campaign on the horizon, we're thinking a lot about the future and what the future will be for Third Church. Trying to be extemporaneous, we do have a script, so bear with us. And then there's right now. My God, there's a time, which feels like a time of chaos and fear in the world. So we're living between this glorious past and a very uncertain future. So how can we respond?
Those of us who've been working on developing the campaign have asked questions again and again, and we've come to a consensus on what we believe is the answer. We believe God is calling Third Church to dig deeper into the unique qualities that make us, and to invest in today to build our tomorrow. We have this amazing opportunity today to push back against the fear and division all around us by investing in this place, by investing in community, by investing in each other. We have a chance now to lay the foundation for decades to come.
So you've just seen the video called, courageously called, the Campaign for Third Pres. It's describing a campaign in 3 major components that align with our 3 major areas of our identity. Beautiful traditional worship, dedication to outreach and social justice, and community housed in this amazing historic building. We'll talk more about that in a second, and I know Jim's got a lot in store for us, because there's a lot of need.
But first up front, we're going to answer the question, how much is this going to cost, after all? The goal for the campaign is ambitious. It's $7.2 million. But we are a generous congregation, and we have both the motivation and the creativity, and we believe if we pull together, we can reach our goal. And we are all, as you can tell, I hope you can tell, we're very excited about all of this.
Indeed. So back to the 3 major components of the campaign. We'll quickly go over the first 2 today of those areas and then pass the mic on to Jim. The list of projects that will enhance worship includes upgrades to our audio and lighting systems. I'm sure you've noticed that microphones sometimes cut out during service, and the lighting could use improvement during the live stream. The campaign will take care of that. And of course, the major big ticket item is the organ, which has really served us well for over 75 years and has well outlived its lifespan, despite the fearless attempts to keep it operating. So we will definitely be going into a lot of detail on that. You saw Betsy talk about that during the video. and she will be focusing on aspects of that during that upcoming campaign. We still will field questions on that after we get through this, but there'll be a lot of specifics in that specific preview party.
You heard a little bit about the plans for one of the other pillars, outreach. We have a project with our partner Family Promise of Greater Rochester. Some of you may remember the Rochester Area Interfaith Hospitality Network, or RAIN, that was launched by Rod Froman, where we had unhoused families here. They would rotate to different houses of worship in the Rochester area. And this agency has essentially kind of taken over that mission. And they recently purchased a building that's right across the street from their office on Webster, is it Webster Street? On Webster Street. And they bought it for $1, which is great. But as you can imagine, it's in need of a lot of repair. And the plan is to refurbish the apartments upstairs and to use the downstairs for programming for the families. We are going to help financially, but also with sweat equity, helping them renovate these spaces. That is not the only place we're going to help with outreach. We're, of course, going to support our own hunger programs and partner with organizations like Habitat for Humanity, like we have in the past. And that gathering, as I mentioned before, that is focusing on outreach will be May 28th for that preview party. The final area of campaign is property, and that is where we will call on Jim, thankfully the real expert, to talk about this. Yay!
Nice job on the shelter-in-place drill. So, yes, flying colors. So where is the courage in repairing property? Have you ever thought about that? Those two don't normally go hand in hand.
Can you speak up just a little bit, because I can't hear you.
I will speak up on, thank you. Where is the courage in repairing property? Those two don't normally go hand in hand. So think back to 1827, when courageous folks from 1st and 2nd Presbyterian cleaved off to form the congregation of 3rd Presbyterian. That took courage. Then in the early 1880s, the trustees at that time actually sold the building that 3rd Presbyterian inhabited at that time, which was the 4th site, and rolled that money into the 5th site out here at the edge of town, at the corner of East Avenue and Meg Street. Some of the trustees actually resigned at that point, I have read, so they lacked courage, obviously. But today, then, where's the courage? How do we link courage to property repair? So I will tell you, and you will see that mortar repair, masonry repair is going to be a big part of what we do. For example, our bell tower needs repointing inside and outside. It needs new decks inside. It needs new stairs. You'll see why. And after all of that work, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, no one will actually know it was done. They will go by East Avenue and have no idea. And almost none of you have ever actually been up in the bell tower, so you won't know either. So how about that? That's where the courage comes. The courage is to have faith that we're doing the right thing at this time. It's our time to do the right thing for the people who come after us. That's the courage. Now I have about 8 slides that have some photos on them. Oh, so good job a couple of years ago during the springtime when we had all those feedback sessions, because the theme that you expressed every time property was mentioned in your oral or especially your written feedback, it fit the theme 3-to-1 out of all of your other responses about property. Maintain the building in good repair. And thanks for that, because we already had a privatization system developed, the property committee, and actually it's focused, centered on keep the property in good repair. So you gave us the right answer, so thanks for that. But what it means though is we are all on the same page. We're not talking about building a new wing or a new room or anything like that. We're talking about sustaining the kingdom, the property that all of us actually inherited with very little courage to walk in the doors of this great facility. Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, so the video did a better job than the still photos, and this is just a sample. This is not all encompassing, and I may have picked some of the worst case photos, you know, so I'll be honest there. They're all kind of bad, yes. So what we did, we have a prioritization system. It's based on two things: relative importance and relative urgency of the action item. And that's spread across 8 different areas of the facility where capital can be spent, from accessibility all the way to utilities, and that's in alphabetical order. So we did a very thorough job in 2020, separating out project ideas into 4 quadrants based on relative importance and relative urgency. There were so many action items in that first quadrant, highly important and highly urgent. We had to reprioritize that first quadrant relative to all of the items there into 4 buckets as well. So we prioritized twice. Just to give you an idea also as to that $2.7 million, I'm still waiting on the final report, the final condition report from Barrow Architects, which includes roof, masonry, structural, electrical, and mechanical systems. I have the work list, which will be an appendix of that report, and thus I have a cost estimate for all of that work. They have highlighted more than 700 different tasks. It covers 18 pages of a spreadsheet for a total estimated cost from the architects of $6.8 million. So 2.7 is quite a bit less than that, and that's because we've had to ruthlessly prioritize. All of that work needs to be done. This is not a wish list, it's a work list. It's not a wish list. I'm not asking you to believe in me. This is work that needs to be done. And if we afford what we can afford with people and dollars, the timeline may get longer or shorter, but this is not optional. The building is decaying, we're decaying, the building needs help, we need help. Okay. So at the top of the list, on the previous slide anyway, there are 5 active areas of excessive water damage that we haven't been able to get to with people or money. There are 5 areas. This is that's the back wall, the north wall of the kitchenette in the education building, and then we also have an asbestos issue over that side entrance to the chapel there. Don't know for sure what the root cause of either of those are. We never know. There are leaks overhead. Could be leaking gutters, could be flashing that's missing or not sealed. Could be, in the case of the chapel door there, it could be the fact that the capstones over the arch have mortar joints that face the sky. And over time, 75 years, the mortar actually wicks in water. And that's probably what's wicking down through the concrete wall, shedding the plaster, which has asbestos in its strike coat or its first coat. So we have an asbestos abatement issue there, as well as we probably need to repoint the capstones and repair the walls. This list, which is called Essential Repairs, this is taken directly from Barrow's list. There are about 8 things that they said you must do now. So I always joke that, well, today was an exception. I was actually sitting in the front wing. I shouldn't tell you this. I was sitting in the front wing of the pews, and that's the only section of all of the sanctuary that's actually over the boiler room, which actually is which is 2 levels below the floor that we are now on. I don't know if you know that, but there's 2 mezzanines and then a lower floor. And that floor is supported, though, don't worry, by an I-beam. The place to worry is, what is the I-beam supported with? And that's this I-beam over here. You're looking at the foot of that I-beam, right? And there are 3 other poles that support that I-beam, so they all have rusty feet. So that is an example of having a structural engineer come through the facility and point out what needs to be done now. I'm not asking, we will spend money on this, as an example. Also, there are other places in the facility. Has anybody ever seen that, by the way? Does anyone, other than me, look around? Do you look up ever? Do you know where that might be? Any guesses? Some of you stand under this regularly. Every week you are under that. I'm looking at you, Mike. You might be one, Mike. Yes, in the choir room. That is the north wall of the choir room. So look up on Wednesday night when you're there, and you will see that, right? And obviously, there's the end of a support beam there, and there's cracking around it, so it's settling. That is a do now. Guess what? Everybody in this room who may inhabit an office on the second floor of the parish house, which is half of our staff, that floor is bowed. So the architect right away said, please tell your folks, Ted, don't store books on the shelves in the middle of the floor. Move them to the window or move them to the door, but not in the middle of the floor. Because the floor is bowed. Onward. You're having fun, right? I mean, I'm trying to keep it light. Now, I just took this picture a few days ago. I've been around everywhere looking for photos, for 5 years now, and I never saw this view until like Thursday. And this is awesome because there's a contrast in ages and types of slate tile. So this is me looking east from the bell tower, from the belfry, looking east. That's the chapel roof in the background, which, by the way, is one of our newer slate tile roofs. It's only been there for 75 years, so it's fresh, young legs. And that is the slate tile roof that the architects say that is the first one that needs to be replaced. And they have said in 1 to 5 years, you need to replace that or you will be sorry. Not optional, we must do it. Not what I thought they would say, but I'm not going to argue with preservation architects, right? In the foreground is one of the original roofs. That's actually from 1890, so it's not as old as the roof over the parish house, which dates from 1880. You can see the difference in the colors and the shading, right? So the slate tile in the foreground was mined, which is no longer even available. The slate in the background was quarried, so it's been in the earth for less time. It's more porous, as you can tell from the modeled appearance, versus less porous. I should have said at the beginning, there is nothing to panic about. Don't worry, don't panic, but we have to be purposeful. Now is our time to do a lot of the things that were known and pointed out, for example, by Barrow in condition studies dating back even to 2005. So I don't need to say more than that about that topic. So, preparing the chancel for the organ. So the quote, as you will see, that we have for new organ assumes that the space is ready for the new organ. And so getting the space ready is is on the property list. Now this photo doesn't show, you saw in the video just real quick what the new organ could look like with pipes there on the chancel. So any demolition or reorganization of the choir risers, for example, would be a property project, and there would be some, because the last row or two of the risers would be given over to organ pipes, right? So the chancel the risers likely need to be rebuilt, likely somewhat. The floor may need to be strengthened to hold the weight, to accept the weight, for example. These are just examples. They've asked for dedicated electrical supply for the new organ console. And then lastly, they have written that they will not honor their warranty unless the temperature and the humidity of the space is within a very narrow range relative to what we can currently control, which is where the idea, which is only one of many potential solutions, of air conditioning the sanctuary came up from. There may be other solutions, that's for a different meeting at a different time, but site prep is part of on the property list. So the biggie, masonry on bell tower and chimneys and on the columns underneath the sanctuary. Together, almost $1 million. There's a lot of work. So I just took these. I have a story. Like what? Why did I take this gorilla on my back? You might be wondering. I wondered. You might wonder, what? So I was up in the bell tower probably in 2021. It's been a few years. I was by myself doing something. And this is true. I couldn't make this up. Suddenly a piece of mortar actually fell by my feet. Honestly. It broke into several pieces. I kind of put them together. It was about that long, like 3 to 4 inches of mortar fell like right in front of me. And that's when I got the faith. I said, okay, I get it. I'm now the voice of the building, I get it. And somebody has to be the voice of the building. Somebody, that's the gorilla that I've taken on. I'm not going to do everything. I am not going to do everything. We are going to work together to accomplish this because we have inherited this wonderful facility. So I have no gorillas. I can sleep, pretty much. It's up to us. It's up to all of us. That's what it will take. By the way, this work, this is not 3 years, this is not 5 years. I would say we're probably looking at a decade of work. And that's the 2.7 million. To get to the 6.8 that the architects have outlined, probably 20 years. But that's fine. It is what it is. So the reason that the picture on the right is there is I was below that particular arch in the belfry when that mortar fell, and I looked up to see if I could figure out where it came from. I never saw it dive. I didn't see it, but there was that hole that you can see right at the very top there. Right there. And so, okay, I made that part up. I mean, I looked up and that was the first hole that I saw. And I said, I have to include a picture of that. So there you go. There is also rotted wood on every platform. There's 3 different levels that you climb up to in the bell tower. The wood is rotted, and actually, if it's not rotted, it's actually missing. So there's a stripe there where there is no wood. There's no way we're going to get guys up there with bricks and mortar before we replace the rotted wood and the steps, which are very, very old. And just for fun, I put some pictures of mushrooms in there. This is the hatch in the floor of the belfry. And yeah, those are actually mushrooms. So we've got a great moist environment to grow mushrooms. And there are other repairs too. So I chose these. This is the main working chimney. And starting from about here, there's a crack in the mortar all the way down. So about 10 courses of block or so. So that would be nominally 10 feet. All of our chimneys, there are 5 of them, have something similar at the top. And sometimes the blocks actually need to be removed and reset according to Barrow. So there's work on the outside and on the inside of all of our chimneys because they are shedding red bricks on the inside. Everywhere that you see granite around the facility from the outside, the next layer inside are red bricks. And the red bricks are porous, more porous than the mortar. So back in the 1800s, they were sacrificial. And they are being sacrificed. If you were to walk with me through the bell tower, you would be crunching up the stairs over dust from red bricks. And this is one of the worst cases. This is the north face of the porch at East and Meg Street. And it's not good. You can see a prior repair, unfortunately used iron-containing metal, so that needs to be taken out, that rod, and replaced. But there is a crack through the mortar and then, right through the block. I think everybody in the front can clearly see that. That doesn't happen that often, but there are other examples. So in this particular case, how the architect looks at that is now you're looking south at the north face, east and west. The west part of that porch is actually moving away from the church. And then over here on the right side, that is the east entry. What used to be the east entry, that used to be outdoors before the cloister hallway was built. And if you look at the stone at the top of that, of the arch, I think you can see that it's leaning, right? Everybody can see that, maybe even in the back it's leaning. Actually, the entire arch is leaning several inches, and there are cracks in the mortar down through there. So the whole thing is leaning, right? So that rises it up to the top of our priority list, and clearly it's not optional. And now that you have seen this, you cannot unsee it, right? So you are on the team. You cannot unsee this. Yes, yes, you are committed. Ha. This is not the exhaustive list. That was a sampling. That was a sampling based on estimates prior to receiving the architect's numbers, actually. So things will change, that's for sure. We can spend all of that money and more We need structure, we need sustainability, we need the right resources. Architects will be involved. You know, in order for us to get good cost estimates, true quotes, we need specifications. Those will be written by architects, not property committee members. Things have to be done right. Our buildings, thank you for your attention and consideration.
Thanks, Jim. I look forward to addressing you now as the voice of the building. So I think you have a future as perhaps starting your own This Old Church franchise. So, but seriously, I hope you can appreciate that we have the best team kind of working on this project, and an awesome leader in charge of this part of the campaign. And you heard a lot of must-haves, not a lot of sort of nice-to-haves in that piece. And I think that's also a bit of a theme of the campaign as well, and that what we appreciated, and when I heard the number for the first time, I actually was expecting a bigger number. And so while 7.2 is a very large number, and it's going to be a big stretch, I think, but achievable, I still think it is actually reasonable and is appropriate. And it's great to see how they have done really that ruthless prioritization to get it to something that we could take off, and something that is manageable from the get-go. So bravo, Jim. Thank you. So I think as we begin this journey of raising funds for the campaign, we're hoping to do this with very much an individual focus by having meetings with everybody in the congregation to the extent that it's possible, to encourage a thoughtful and prayerful approach. Not that we're going to show up with a number and ask you to meet it, but just to ask you to consider and to share some of the things that we have learned. And Betsy and I have made several of these meetings already with several folks, as have other members of the leadership team. And above all, we find that they're just a great way to connect and share the history that we all share in this building and this faith. So something I think to look forward to, in addition to the consideration of money, which is all important. So I think as we do that, we are looking for some help in that we're hoping to have campaign ambassadors, which would do, say, 3 to 5 visits with folks to have a conversation similar to what we've been doing and making the rounds in an earlier quiet phase. And then we're also hoping that we'll have some folks to act as captains for a group of, say, 3 to 5 of those campaign ambassadors. So please consider that and share with your friends and family, and anybody who might be eligible or willing. We would love to have that assistance. So I'll turn it over to Betsy.
For just a minute.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody for coming. And if you're like me, you like to have a hard copy, because that's the way I am. And so we have, I could distribute these. They have the description of the campaign in general and the 3 pillars that we talked about, and descriptions of those.
All right, well then, that concludes today's party. I think there's still plenty of popcorn. So grab it on your way out and have a wonderful afternoon.